Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Recovery Classroom. My name is Drew. I am an alcoholic, and today I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I cannot be any more grateful. We have our Crosstalk Friday meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. If you're local to the Huntington, West Virginia area, I want to encourage you to come on down, hang out with a group of like-minded drunks and drug addicts for the quickest hour in recovery at 5747 East Pea Ridge Road in Huntington tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll see you there. My daughter and I were out at a restaurant last night, and I think you can kind of guess the restaurant, but we were eating dinner, and I started talking to the waitress. And the waitress told me, she said, hey, she just hit her 4-year mark. She was super excited. I got excited because I, too, am working on my 4th year of sobriety. I ran out to my truck, grabbed the tokens, grabbed the 4-year token. Yes, I'm giving out tokens in restaurants with my kids. Gave her the token, and we started talking. She made a comment that stuck with me, started getting me thinking about my own personal experience. She was sharing how she would go into meetings and she would listen to people talk, and she'd go, oh, my shit's not nearly as bad, so I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. And it got me thinking about me. I did the same thing. I know that's hard for some of my friends to believe that I actually sat there and said, I ain't saying a fucking word. It's true. When I first started, I would hear people and I would go, man, I didn't do nearly half that stuff that they're talking about doing. I'll just sit here and be quiet. I got nothing to contribute. I just sit here and be quiet. What I was doing was comparing myself. I was comparing myself, my personal experiences, to somebody else's personal experiences. And in turn, I was going, you know what? I probably don't even need to participate. I'll just sit here and listen and I'll be good. There's a couple things I want to point out about that line of thinking, about that thought process. And I used to say this all the time, and maybe I need to start saying it again. You never know who needs to hear what it is you might have to say, because what you have to say could change someone's life entirely. It could be the one thing that somebody walking into a room needs to hear in order to make that decision, to push them over the edge where they go, you know what? Maybe I can do this sobriety thing. Maybe I can do this clean thing. Maybe I can fix myself. Don't sit there and compare your story to somebody else's and then go, you know what? My shit's not nearly as bad, so I'm just not going to say anything. Because what you have to say could, in fact, change somebody else's life. I don't care if you got 1 week of sobriety. I don't care if you got a month, a year, 10 years, 89 years. I don't care. If something hits your heart, strikes you, to make you want to speak up and share on the topic at hand, by all means, do so. Because that could be the difference maker in somebody else's life. Another thing I want to point out when it comes to comparison. We don't need to sit in rooms and compare our personal experiences with that person's personal experience. I don't need to sit there and go, well, damn, Johnny really did screw up, and I'm not near, no, I didn't do that. Maybe my stuff's not as bad. It doesn't have to be bad, first and foremost. Let's be very clear about that. But if I'm going to compare my story, my personal experiences, why don't I stop comparing against other people's and start comparing against myself? Just as I mentioned, the young lady last night at the restaurant, she was excited about about getting that 4-year chip. Hell, I'm excited about, hopefully, God willing, me picking up my 4-year chip. I just picked up my 3-year chip back in July. And when I got that chip, I wasn't thinking about Jimmy's story or Susie's story or Sally, Jesse, Raphael's story. I was thinking about, and I was comparing myself on that day to what I was 3 years ago. When we start wanting to compare ourselves, how about we compare ourselves today versus how we were yesterday, versus how we were last week, last month, last year, versus how we were when we started in our journey on the road to recovery. If we're going to compare ourselves, let's make sure we're using equal measuring sticks here, right? I don't want to compare me to Susie or to Jimmy. I want to compare me today versus me from yesterday. And if I can see those small incremental changes in a positive direction, then that's all I need. That's all I need. I see it all far too many times. People will come into the rooms, they'll do that comparison thing, and then they'll shut down. They'll be like, I got nothing to share. You're doing yourself and your fellow a disservice when you start comparing yourself to other people, and especially allowing that comparison to shut you down. At that moment, whenever we shut down, we miss out on possibly being a blessing, possibly uplifting somebody else in that very room that we're in. Again, all we're trying to do is if we're going to compare ourselves, fine, let's compare ourselves to who we were yesterday or the day before, but let's not let it shut us down. Let's not let it stop us, keep us from sharing and speaking up whenever something strikes our heart that we feel the need to share. Because again, that could be the very thing that, Jeff over in the corner needs to hear. Oh shit, you know what? I can't relate. Maybe they're thinking this too. I can't relate to this guy over here, but damn, what you just said, I can relate to that. And that's when they find you after the meeting or before the next meeting. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in comparison while we're in the meeting, we tend to miss the benefits and the blessings of what happens before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting. And in my opinion, a lot of times, that is where the biggest miracles take place. So with that being said, I'll let you guys go. Thank you guys for letting me come in and share 5 to 10 minutes of your day with you. You guys absolutely keep me sober, and I cannot be any more appreciative. We'll be talking again soon. Remember, guys, you can't get drunk if you don't take that first drink.